So without a doubt, one of the most difficult strategies that we teach here on the YouTube channel is the no contact rule. In fact, it's such a difficult struggle for many of the people watching these videos who are implementing it that we estimate around 80% of our clients fail it the very first time. So I thought it'd be really nice for me to put together a video basically talking about the struggle you're having and how you can overcome it so that you have success via the no contact rule. So if you stick around until the end of this video, not only am I going to show you what your big struggles are or a lot of the thoughts that you're having during no contact and directly talk to you about those thoughts, but I'm also going to teach you a concept that we've learned kind of occurs called the Doomsday clock. And I'm going to show you from real life people what has actually worked to get them through the struggle of the no contact rule. But first things first, maybe we should define what the no contact rule is. Well, simply put, the no contact rule is a period of time where you ignore your ex on purpose with the intent of making them miss you while at the same time allowing yourself to recultivate your image. Now, there are different variations of a no contact rule based on specific situations. We have limited no contact or indefinite no contact, and I've done videos on this YouTube channel about those things, but we're just going to be talking about general no contact rules and all. So on average, usually you're ignoring your ex for a period of time. If you follow our program, it's anywhere between 21 to 45 days of ignoring an ex. But the big struggle happens when you actually implement the no contact rule. You have all of these negative thoughts. Thoughts like how you're afraid that your ex will forget you, or that you're afraid your ex will grow angry with you, or you're afraid that the no contact rule won't work. So what I'd like to do is take those three most common thoughts and talk a little bit about what our experience has been with them. Hey there, real quick, I want to say that if you're new to this YouTube channel or you're trying to figure out what you should be doing to get your ex back and you're trying to learn if you even have a chance in your specific circumstance, stop by our website, www.exboyfriendrecovery.com, or take our Ex Recovery Chances quiz that can be found at exboyfriendrecovery.com. All you have to simply do is look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the link you see there. It will take you directly to the quiz where you can fill it out and get an easy answer on what you should be doing going forward and overall what your chances look like in your specific situation. So again, if you haven't taken the quiz and you're interested in taking this free, simple 2-minute quiz, simply look in the description link below the YouTube video and click on the link you see there. All right, so let's get you back to the video. Let's start first with people who are afraid that their ex will forget them. We have, and I've been doing this for almost a decade now, never seen that occur. The only chance that that may potentially occur is if you were a rebound and your relationship lasted a few days, where you were just essentially a one-night stand. More often than not, though, that's not going to be your situation. So what's going to happen is if you use a no contact rule on your ex, it will actually have the opposite effect. They will think about you more because of the silence. So I want to put to bed any fears you have about your ex forgetting you. It's sort of an irrational fear and you shouldn't be controlled by it. Next up are those who believe that their ex will grow angry with them during the no contact rule. And this is actually a valid fear. We have seen this happen a lot. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. So what a lot of people don't understand is we don't really mind if an ex gets angry at you. We actually mind if they're extremely indifferent towards you. So a lot of times you'll understand an ex is angry by you because they'll specifically call out the fact that you're ignoring them. And it'll make you feel uncomfortable about the fact that you're hurting their feelings. I don't want them to be angry at me. Here's what we've told our coaching clients. When you go through a breakup, the rules are different. Your ex is no longer your lovey-dovey partner who you were thinking one day may get married to you. They are simply nothing more than an acquaintance, and you should treat them as such. They may not like that fact, but that is what's needed to happen. And then the big common fear, the third most big common fear, is people who are afraid that the no contact rule won't work. For people like this, the thing that I usually tell them is, I want you to actually go to our YouTube channel and go to our success stories section. There I have like 30 hour-long interviews with success stories posted, where I've interviewed them for the podcast and for the YouTube channel. Every single one of them has used some form of the no contact rule. Almost 99% of our success stories that are found within our private Facebook support group, basically an accumulation of all of our program purchasers, have used a no contact rule if they've gotten their exes back. So you tell me, does the no contact rule work? The statistics say yes, but I can understand why your fear would say no. But this leads us to the next big thing we've noticed with people who really struggle with the no contact rule, and that's this concept that we're calling the Doomsday Clock. Now, I cannot take credit for this, even though I love stories and I love comic books and stuff like that, and the Doomsday Clock is such a Watchmen thing. If you ever watched Watchmen on the movies or in the comic book.
No.
Whatever. But the thing is, one of my friends actually came up with this concept and I was like, I am going to steal that. So I want to give him proper credit before I steal it. So what is this Doomsday Clock? Well, we've noticed that people tend to look at no contact as like this doomsday timer. So every day that goes by, they're thinking to themselves, this is another day that I'm closer to losing my ex. And this is really what is at the catalyst of the struggle with no contact. You go through no contact, you're plagued by fear, you're plagued by doubts, and that allows you to break no contact and you just end up failing anyways. What we try to tell people is that you need to have a paradigm shift or a mindset shift during the no contact rule. I want you to think back to when you were a little kid. Most of us are in our early 20s to late 20s or early 30s. We don't really have the ultimate experience of this anymore, but when you were a little kid, remember what it was like when you would go to bed before Christmas morning? You'd wake up on Christmas morning super excited to see what Santa Claus brought you. It was just like this exciting thing. You were so excited at night that you couldn't fall asleep, and then you wake up and you're just filled with presents. I don't want to break the Santa Claus tradition thing, but here's my point. That is how you need to be looking at the no contact rule. Instead of looking at it like every day that goes by is a closer day to me losing my ex, you need to look at it like Christmas morning. Every day that goes by is a day closer to getting my ex back. And that's a hard mindset shift to have when all of the reality around you doesn't sort of have that. When all of the reality around you doesn't have things that make you think that. But it's important, especially if you're going to get through the no contact rule. Now, speaking of getting through the no contact rule, I thought it would be really good, instead of me just sitting up here and saying, yeah, do this if you're struggling, or do this with your struggling, to actually ask real people who have completed a no contact rule what actually helped them get through it. One of the big things that is maybe a big pet peeve of mine is I see a lot of other coaches or YouTube personalities talking about breakups, and all they ever seem to do is say something without really any real life proof to back it up. And that's not something I wanted to do with this video. I wanted to kind of get down into the trenches with you so that you can understand that I understand what you're going through. I'm literally talking to people who are going through your struggle right now. And I wanted to figure out what worked for them to help them successfully complete it. And then I wanted to look at all the patterns that seem to kind of have been exhibited. So here is what people in my private Facebook support group had to say about what actually helped them get through the no contact rule. One person said that it was their friends and focusing on long-term gain instead of short-term satisfaction. Another person said that it was an ambition to be better. Another person actually said that their Facebook group that we put together helped them a lot. Also, people were pointing at our concept of the Holy Trinity, balancing health, wealth, and relationships. One woman had kind of a yes man approach, which means she picked up new hobbies and just wasn't afraid to say yes or try new things. Another person said journaling really helped her, and someone else said deciding to move on really helped them. Now, when I ran this poll, we had hundreds of comments, and I just read you some of the most common comments that we got. But what I did is, before I filmed this YouTube video, I went through all of those comments. I started looking for patterns that continually started developing from actual people who have completed the no contact rule. And we, without a doubt, found 3 big patterns that you can use to help you in your struggle with the no contact rule. So, The first big pattern was this concept of not obsessing about your ex. One thing that actually was really impressive to me is when I looked at the people who commented on our poll who actually said they went through a no contact rule, they did not fail it, and this is what helped them. Not one person mentioned that they obsessively checked their ex's Facebook profile or their Instagram post or their Snapchat stories or whatever. They weren't obsessing about their ex. They made the no contact rule a lot more about themselves as opposed to about their ex. And this kind of reminds me of the philosophy that a really famous Japanese samurai named Miyamoto Musashi had. So Musashi, just to kind of give you a history lesson here, and I know this may sound like kind of a weird comparison, but I think he is actually one of the greatest philosophers to have ever lived. In history, it was maybe the 14th or 15th centuries in Japan, he would essentially just go around like a vagabond, place to place, but he was like this undefeated prodigy samurai, and he had at the end of his life written these sort of life rules on how he lived his life. And he said one thing that really resonated with me, and I think it can resonate with you, especially if you're using a no contact rule. He said, "There is nothing outside of yourself that can ever enable you to get better, stronger, richer, quicker, or smarter. Everything is within. Everything exists. Seek nothing outside of yourself." And I think that's actually the perfect segue into our next pattern that we notice. So pattern number one is not obsessing so much about your ex. Pattern number two is actually focusing on bettering yourself. Now, this is kind of really synonymous with our concept of the holy trinity, right? We always talk about how we try to teach our clients to balance the three most important areas of their life: health, wealth, and relationships. But one thing I've found personally is it's really hard to balance all three. Usually if you put time into two, one thing gets neglected. But it's that never-ending pursuit of perfection, of balance that keeps people going. And this is something that they begin to shift their mind on during the no contact rule. You know, like the yes man example I gave you. The woman decided she's just going to try a bunch of new hobbies. And she was just going to say yes to things that she would have never said yes to before. This is about trying to learn what she is comfortable with, but also trying new things because she wants to experience new experiences that could enrich her life from within. And one thing that I really think really signifies someone doing this on an extreme level is this concept of a Magnum Opus. What do you want to be remembered for when you die? Which is kind of a morbid thing to talk about, but I actually think there's a lot of insight and power into thinking about your period of no contact like that. Spend time on your Magnum Opus, and more often than not, your Magnum Opus isn't going to be a relationship. It's going to be something about you helping someone, creating something, or enriching your life, or achieving something that you've always wanted to achieve. Usually a breakup and getting an ex back isn't that thing. So it's about putting the focus off of your ex and onto yourself by bettering yourself. And the third pattern we tended to notice was people who successfully completed a no contact rule surrounded themselves with positive individuals. So when I read out kind of some of the bare basic things that people said, a lot of people were talking about our Facebook group, right? They were saying, this Facebook group has helped me get through it. My battle buddy, which is something that we've come up with in the Facebook group where we try to pair you with someone who is very similar to you so that you don't have to go through this breakup alone. That all builds into this concept of surrounding yourself with positive individuals. And this is actually something that I have to deal with a lot. I am tasked often with kicking people out of our group, and I hate doing it, but nothing is more important than fostering a positive environment throughout those Facebook groups. So as you can imagine, we got a lot of anxious individuals that sometimes can come into our Facebook group, and sometimes anxious individuals have a tendency to lash out, call people names, just kind of be selfish, take instead of give, and it's up to me to identify these individuals, refund them, and promptly kick them out of the group, because what matters more than anything is creating a safe and positive environment. The last thing people in this Facebook group, people who have paid money to try to understand what it takes to win an ex back or try to improve their chances, need to hear is negativity. You will never get them back because of this. You will never get them back because of this. And while that person may be technically true in certain aspects or certain circumstances, we have found that more often than not, killing someone's motivation is what ends your chances altogether. Instead, we seek to surround ourselves with positivity, people who are actually going to help and empathize with our point of view. We have all had our friends or family that says, don't get them back. Why would you ever want to get them back? You're crazy for wanting them back. There's other fish in the sea. Everyone has heard that. That's not what people need. What people need is to be understood. And that's who you need to surround yourself with, especially during a no contact rule. Hey, I just wanted to personally say, if you're struggling with the no contact rule and you don't have a support group, or you are having a lot of trouble shifting your paradigm and getting off that doomsday clock, let us know about it in the comments below and we'll see what we can do to help. At the very bare minimum, what you should be doing is probably listening to my podcast or watching my YouTube videos or going to my website and checking out our Ex Recovery Chances quiz. That's probably the newbie best place to start if you're new to this program. So if you want to understand what the Ex Recovery Chances quiz is, it's a simple free 2-minute quiz that's basically designed to tell you what kind of chance you have of getting your ex back, so you know whether or not you're going to be wasting your time or not wasting your time. So if you're interested in taking that quiz, simply look in the description below and click the link you see there. Oh, also, if you haven't liked, commented, or subscribed to this YouTube channel, please do so. You have no idea how much every little bit helps. I'll see you next time.